Lancaster County, but the division I worked at was in Snyder County, and we dealt with labor issues. We were not organized, but we went through much training regarding organization and so forth. Some things I did, we actually came out with the Open Workforce Initiative, which includes a series of bills. And it starts with Representative Metcalf's Bill 50, which would prohibit employment from being conditional upon membership or non-membership in the labor organization. The compulsory union dues would be prohibited from non-union members, but would only apply to both to all public and private sector people. It would just be the public sector. So Representative Metcalf's bill says it applies to any place in the Commonwealth. Then there's a series of other bills that specifically deal with school employees, which is Kathy Rapp's bill, House Bill 51. My bill, House Bill 52, which is for state employees. Representative Cox has Bill 53 from local, any kind of municipal organizations. And then 54, which is Representative Knowles, would be private sector employees. So Representative Metcalf's bill covers the whole spectrum, and then there's a series of bills below that. If we can't get that through, what else can we get done? Representative Bloom has a bill out there, House Bill 250, which would permit public employees to opt out of union membership at any time during their contract. Don't know if you're aware of this, but currently you can only opt out like within 15 days before the end of your contract, which people said it's very difficult for us when we want to get out of the union because you have to jump through all kinds of hoops to try and get that done. Designed by the unions so that they can hang on to that their union dues. There's a couple other things out there that are what I call pro-business, that would bring businesses, private sector businesses, to the Commonwealth. Because if it's what we're about private sector job creation. That's what makes a difference for the lives of Pennsylvanians. And I've got some other statistics here I'd like to cover once I go through the legislation that's out there. It just shows you how important and how beneficial it is to be right to work. The other bills are Representative Cutler's bill. It doesn't have a number currently, but what that says, it says that it cannot be any part of a collective bargaining agreement for union dues to be collected by that employer. Currently, a lot of the way it is in the Commonwealth now is with teachers and some other things. That's part of their agreement that the school district collect those union dues and submit them to the union. Of course, it happens with state employees, municipal employees, and so forth. That's what we refer to as paycheck protection. That people cannot take things from your paycheck unless you want to have them do that. The other thing is deals with unemployment compensation law to define willful misconduct and voluntary quit. That's one that the unions have been fighting us on for a few sessions now. Was Representative Miller's bill last session. I've taken that bill this session. I really am trying to get that advanced. They don't want to have that in there. But the point I make is you don't want somebody coming to your workplace that is under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And you should be able to terminate that employee because it's not safe for your other employees and not have the repercussions of having to have them be held against you on your unemployment compensation benefits for what you have to pay in unemployment compensation. So there are some things there that we're trying to get done there that are pro-business. And there's the National Institute for Labor Relations Research. I don't know if anybody's familiar with some of these things, but I like to tell you where my sources come from. But right-to-work states benefit from faster growth. Percentage of growth in non-farm private sector payroll employment 2001 to 2011. In right-to-work states was 2.4%. In forced union states, minus 3.4%. Let's see, percentage of growth in Tax Freedom Day, April 6th, right-to-work states. April 15th in other states. Cost of living has increased, and actually I have some graphs here on this. But in right-to-work states, the average per capita disposable income is $36,800. In forced union states, it's $34,600. So there's a lot of things here that you can look at. But here's ones that I really look at. Number of residents, growth, the growth in residents. If we want want people to come to our state, and we want our state to grow and prosper. Growth in number of residents aged 24 to 35, or 25 to 34, excuse me. Right to work states, 11.2%. Forced union states, 0.7%. So if we want to be more relevant in national politics, presidential elections, and so forth, we want our state to grow. I mean, in the 1960s, we were number 3 in electoral votes. In like 67 or 68. Now we've only got, I don't know where we're right now, but it's far below that because you've got Texas, Florida, California, New York, Ohio. Yeah, they passed us. So we need to have growth in our state. And the way to do that is to bring private sector jobs. Welfare recipients per 1,000 residents, 2011. Right to work states, 7. Forced union states, 18.4. That's how important it is. You will have a job. You will have a job. And the pride of having a job and accomplishment if you have a right to work state. Other things I looked at, because I had some people come in my office after this press release had gone out, and I had some people that were not happy with union employees. And I asked them, I said, are you familiar with the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics website? Of course they weren't. I said, well, this is what I do. I don't just go out and say, well, let's see, what can I do tomorrow? You know, we look at the research, we look at the numbers, and we say, how can we improve the lives of every Pennsylvanian? And that is by giving you more personal choice. Right to work states, unemployment rates in 2012, lowest in the United States. North Dakota, Nebraska, South Dakota, Vermont, Iowa. 4 of those right to work states. Actually, the top 3 are right to work states. 2010 unemployment rates. I sort of tried to take a snapshot after the 2008 crash, and then I got some before that. 2010, 4 of the 5 were right to work states. The top 3 again were right to work states. 2009, all of them right to work states. 2003, 3 of the 5 were right to work states. The top 2 being right to work states. 1993, all 5 were right to work states. So what it says is, you will have a job. Then what I did was, because you always hear the argument that if you work in a right to work state, you're not going to make as much as you do in a union state. I've heard that 100 times. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Again, looking at this, well, and I took 3 sectors because I didn't want to just compare state to state, but I looked at growth because you can't compare Alabama to California because the economies are much different. So you look at the percentage of growth. And I took the years from 1990 to 2010. And how much did salaries grow in right-to-work states versus non-right-to-work states? And I took different sectors, and I took mining and natural resources. Out of all those, in right-to-work states, 9 of them were over 100% growth in earnings. In union states, there was 5 that were over 100%. In manufacturing, 15 had over 100% growth in wages over that time. 12 in forced union states, and in construction, 9 had over 100% growth, and 4 in forced union states. So what we're saying here is we're saying that the myth that they're putting out there is strictly that. It's not factual. It's not true. You will have a job, and you will see the same growth in your benefits, or better, if you have a right to work state. Yes?
Do you have any literature or anything online that lists all of these facts?
No, we're putting that.
Mythbuster.
Yeah, we're putting that together to put on my website. A fellow that works in my office is pretty good with this stuff. Christina knows this. This is pretty close to Christina. We are putting this out because we want to make sure we get it out there to people, so that they have it. You know, here's what the truth is about this. Because, like I said, the people come into my office, and generally people in my area are supportive of right to work and choice. But there are some people that are entrenched in the union mindset that don't want to give up any of that stuff. And a prime example was the vote we took on privatization of the state stores. I mean, if you would have been around this Capitol, and I see Representative Kaufman sitting back there, every day we were in session since last even last year when Representative Turzai's bill was out there, we refer to them as the bees, because they have these yellow shirts that have a martini glass on with a circle on it and a line to it that says, "I won't drink to the Corbett Turzai tax." Now, I actually, if you go up by my office, which is over at that end of the complex, it's near this office building, I made up a sign just to keep them out of my office. And it has a martini glass on it with a circle on it that says, "I won't drink to union dues." And I pasted it on the outside of the wall because I wanted to keep them out of where I'm trying to work. But I knew it was going to pass because they started migrating down to the other end of the hallway down in the Senate. So I had a pretty good idea at the end of the week before we took the vote that it would pass. So those are some things that I look at, and I will get the facts, the Mythbusters out there, the bus holders missing about what they're saying.
We also have, courtesy of Matt Wagner, who will be here this afternoon, a list of the entire package, so that everybody has a copy of that and keep track of what's going on.
I just have an interesting thing when we look at then and now. In 1967, well, let me start backwards. In 2009, the last quarter of 2009, the top 5 employers in Pennsylvania were federal government, state government, Walmart, City of Philadelphia, and University of Pennsylvania. Now, would anybody like to try and guess what they were in 1967? 2 steel companies. U.S. Steel and Bethlehem Steel.
Right.
Westinghouse, Bell Telephone, and General Electric.
Wow.
There is only one company that was in the top 50 in 1967 that remained in the top 50 in 2009. That was Sears Roebuck.
Oh my.
So it tells you how things have shifted and why we are losing population. Because of the unions. Because the unions are federal government. The unions are state government. The unions are not Walmart, but they're just simply the world's largest retailer. But City of Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania. So this is how important it is. What do we want? What do we want our state to look like in another 40 years? I tell you what, I want to have private industry be in the top 5 employers, because that means people have jobs, people have choices. I mean, the teachers that oppose this, I would go out and say, if you get other people paying the bills, a rising tide brings up all ships, not the union. So that was just some interesting things. Now I guess I'll open it up to more questions, comments. Yes?
Question regarding legislation about drug and alcohol. I missed I had to step out a minute.
Drug and alcohol.
Yeah.
Basically, it's what we call the willful misconduct voluntary quit. Currently, if an employer terminates an employee, it is very easy for that employee to sign up for unemployment compensation benefits. And what happens is, as an employer, that record is kept, when you terminate employees, and you pay a higher rate into the unemployment compensation trust fund. Well, in doing so, you're penalizing an employer if an employee is terminated for coming to work while they're intoxicated or under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. So but the unions are fighting us on that. And the thing I look at is, why? Why would you want somebody to be able, why would you not want to allow an employer to keep all of their employees safe by saying, we're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior?
I come from an employee assistance program background, where having employee assistance programs in business, that would be the first step in the process of eliminating someone, getting them help, getting them straightened out, bringing them back to work.
We had that at Conestoga Wood Specialties when I worked there.
Yeah.
We had an employee assistance program.
Right.
If they came to us and said, I have a problem,
Right.
we enrolled them in there and we got them help.
Yeah.
Now, if we caught them, that's a different story.
Well, and it is in the businesses that I've worked with, and in state government. I'm retired from the state police, and we would bring someone through one step 1, 2, and when they got fired, and the documentation, which was private and confidential, but when they would go before the arbiter, the mitigating circumstance was we offered them help, we provided them help, and it really helped us get rid of those people that were.
You can get rid of them, but let me tell you a personal experience I had. We had our buildings and grounds under surveillance of video cameras, and it was posted, and everybody knew that. We hired an employee because he stole a laptop computer from us. Had him on video. We fired him. We didn't prosecute him because, you know, to deal with all that, it costs you much more.